So let's go even deeper on President Trump's executive orders on immigration policy. Those orders aimed at boosting military presence to secure the Mexico-U.S. border and shutting down refugee admissions. CBS News correspondent Omar Villafranca in El Paso, Texas, with reports on what all of these new changes could look like for those who are waiting in line sometimes for months seeking asylum.
Just after the inauguration, President Trump took pen to paper and started signing executive orders reshaping federal policy, especially when it comes to immigration and border security. He also revived some policies that were rolled back during the Biden administration and announced new crackdowns when it comes to immigrants in the United States. Now, one of the first things he did, the new administration shuttered a Biden-era app used by asylum seekers to book appointments with immigration officials, and they also canceled all the outstanding bookings made on the app. About 30,000 migrants were waiting to enter through the CBP One app. Sources also tell CBS News Trump is also planning to ramp up operations to arrest unauthorized immigrants across major U.S. cities this week as he pledges to oversee the largest deportation effort in U.S. history. Trump also signed orders to keep asylum seekers in Mexico while awaiting immigration hearings, and he also labeled drug cartels as terrorist organizations and also promised to send troops to the southern border. Now, troops from the Texas National Guard are already here on the Texas-Mexico border, and they have been since 2021 as part of Operation Lone Star. Another thing the president did is he also signed an executive order challenging birthright citizenship for children born in the U.S. to unauthorized migrants in the country, and that has already been challenged immediately. Back to you.
Anka, thank you so much for that. There is another layer to President Trump's executive orders on immigration, and that's what economists have to say. They say that his actions could have sweeping and major impacts on industries like construction, healthcare, agriculture, affecting our economy, especially in the state of California. Those industries, and we know this, rely on immigrant workers, and they're concerned today. Without those workers, some fear the cost that we all pay to build houses or pick up or pay for groceries or pick the produce that feeds the United States, those prices could go up. So CBS News MoneyWatch correspondent Kelly O'Grady joins me now. Kelly, let's get down to the prices. You know, moving those prices down was a campaign promise by President Trump. Any signs that the administration is aware of our nation's independence or dependence on these workers, especially when we talk about construction and agriculture?
Yeah, so this is a really interesting dynamic, Reed, because as you mentioned, these industries like construction, agriculture, they do rely heavily on undocumented workers. And I'll just give you an example. So according to the USDA, 42% of crop workers are undocumented. And so if you were to get rid of all of these people all at once, it could raise prices for two reasons. If you get rid of that worker group overnight, you would have a huge gap in terms of what you actually need to do in order to build the homes or pick the crops or what have you. And so if you aren't able to replace those people with U.S. workers, overnight your supply goes down, demand stays the same. It's simple economics. Your prices go up. Another way it could raise prices, if you do replace those workers with U.S. or documented workers, they're going to get paid more. They're going to be able to get minimum wage or more because undocumented workers don't have as much leverage to require that same salary or price per hour. So there's that aspect of it where you could see prices go up. But I will also say there are a number of economic reasons that you would see things go down in terms of government spending, less drawing on resources for housing, for food that we are providing undocumented workers. So it's a little bit more complicated, but there's a push-pull when it comes to the economic piece, Reed.
Arguably, one of the first tests of this will be in the rebuilding of the thousands of homes destroyed in the LA wildfire. They need those construction workers, and that could be a major point here in the United States to make, that Southern California could be the first test for that. So another item on the president's agenda, and that is what he talked about yesterday, retaking the Panama Canal or control of the Panama Canal. How important is that canal for the United States?
critical from an economic and a security perspective. So 40% of all container traffic for the U.S. flows through the Panama Canal, and it makes prices cheaper. It makes it the time less for it to travel, because otherwise it would have to go all the way down around South America. It would take a lot more time, be a lot more costly. So that's the economic piece of it. From a security perspective, it is also critical to have that passage if there were ever to be conflicts to get supplies into the United States. And President Trump has highlighted that it's controlled by China. I do want to debunk a little bit of that. There's two ports on either end of the Panama Canal that are operated by Chinese-owned companies. Now, of course, in China, the business relationship is a little bit different. The government does have a lot more control over companies than we do in the U.S., but it is a very important piece, security and economically. So there are arguments that make sense that the president is making, but of course it was something that was actually sold under the Carter administration. There was a treaty that Panama now does operate that canal.
That will be fascinating to see how it plays out. While we have you, I have another question. TikTok facing another TikTok, 70 to 75 days, right? So what needs to happen over that time period to keep TikTok on lock here in the United States?
There needs to be a U.S. buyer. So the president has said that this needs to be U.S. owned in part, 50%. And so we know that there are a number of group of investors that have put up bids. One was public. It included Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful of Shark Tank fame. But whatever buyer, whatever solution is put forth also needs to satisfy data security requirements and antitrust requirements. You can't have a company buying TikTok where it wouldn't make sense from a competition perspective. So all of these things need to happen in 75 days, Reed. I've worked in mergers and acquisitions. That's a very tough feat. So we're going to see also whether the Chinese government, whether ByteDance, the Chinese company that owns TikTok, is even open to selling, which of course would be required in order to come to some sort of deal. So we will see. The clock is ticking. A lot to do in 75 days.
Kelly O'Grady, always great to have a conversation. You make me understand things a little bit deeper. Thank you so much. Have a great day, friend.